Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Meliorvia, and I am back up here at Immortals.
It is so good to have you back, John. I didn't even need an introduction because I'm the one introducing you today.
Thanks for the kind words, Mikey. So we have been out for a bit because Mikey went on vacation, then I went on vacation, and
who cares? That's all.
Turned into a mess.
That's all I need to know. We went on vacation.
Well, in fairness, I kind of did want to talk about that vacation a little bit tonight.
I want to hear something. I want to hear it too.
Yeah. So part of our vacation, my vacation with my family, was we went down to Disney World, and being the huge Star Wars nerd that I wasn't going to pass up an opportunity to stay at the new Star Wars hotel on Disney property, the Galactic Starcruiser.
I'm so jealous. Did they have like the cool way to get in your hotel and stuff? Or like...
So you get a special band that activates everything, but it's not like you're using an R2 unit to open the doors, but it's still pretty cool. So this hotel's pretty brand new, right? It opened in March of 22. And the way it's set up is pretty different from many other experiences because it's not just a hotel. It's kind of more like a cruise, but even more than that, it's set up to be a really interactive experience. Your stays are just for 2 nights. You can't book more or less than that. You check in at 1 p.m. and then 2 days later, you check out by 10 a.m. You can fit typically about 4 people in a room, though you don't have to put that many in there. And most of the price is actually the cost of the room. So it's going to be defrayed a little cheaper per person if you put more people in there. The stay does include your food and your soft drinks. Liquor and booze are a little bit more of an add-on, but that food is also really heavily themed. Really everything about this hotel screams Star Wars. One of those days you're going to visit Disney Hollywood Studios. The hotel is really right on top of that, and you get to take a space shuttle between the...
A space shuttle?
Well, okay, it's a cargo van, but it's made to look like it's a space shuttle with a droid pilot.
You don't have to say much more.
Transfers you from the Halcyon, the Starcruiser, down to the Star Wars area of Hollywood Studios. And you spend a few hours there, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 or 4 hours, up to maybe as long as 8. So you're probably not going to want to spend that much time there because really there's a whole lot going on back on that Starcruiser. And the reason we're talking about this, right, is because the Starcruiser really is a role-playing game. In fact, it's a LARP, a live-action role-playing game. Disney populates the ship with a whole bunch of NPCs, and all the other guests are basically the player characters interacting with those NPCs and advancing their stories. NPCs are kind of split up into factions. So you've got the ship's crew, which includes the captain and the cruise director. And there's an astromech, basically an R-series unit, though he's an SK, who cruises around that you can interact with, including using your magic band with him. And then there's a ship's technician, who's kind of another guy that you're going to interact with a lot. In addition to that, there are these people that they call Sajas, who are these Force-attuned lightsaber trainers that can reveal secrets of the Force to you. There's an agent of the First Order aboard the cruise by the name of Lieutenant Croy. He's got a couple of stormtroopers that hang out with him. There's some performers, so it is a Disney experience. So you do get a musical show, but the performers are mostly aliens. So you've got a Twi'lek, you've got a Rhodian musician, there's a guitar player who's typically a Mary Allen or a Togruta, and then their agent, who is a human, but he's got some ties in with the underworld, so that gives you another faction that you can explore.
What genre do they play?
Well, it's kind of poppy. It's not all English, right? Some of it's not in Galactic Basic. It's in different languages.
I can imagine myself there right now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And in fact, I think a lot of it is streaming. I don't know if they're available.
Really?
So if you look for Disney World Star Wars playlists, I think it's even out there.
Sweet.
And then you do get to interact with a few of the characters you might have seen before, including a certain very tall Wookiee and Rey and Kylo Ren.
No way.
Yeah. They show up. They put in appearances. Some of these interactions you have with people are via your phone. So you can be texting with these different characters, but you can also have face-to-face interactions. And those face-to-face interactions can set up the phone interactions and vice versa.
Did you get Han Solo's number?
Well, Han Solo isn't alive anymore by the time, because this is set during the sequel trilogy. And it's set between 8 and 9. So Han's not really doing a whole lot at that point.
Yeah, no comment on that.
Fair. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah, we didn't mention.
The whole building is very heavily themed. You feel like you're on a starship when you're walking around the interior. All the windows are portholes. A lot of this stuff is things that you may have seen in other reviews of the Starcruiser. The food is themed. There's viewports. There's comm stations you can interact with. But the thing I really wanted to talk about is how all of this feeds into the LARP. So when you're at those comm stations, you're developing interactions with characters that, again, trigger things on your data pad that can advance the story, that can give you opportunities, that can give you access to different parts of the ship, basically different rooms where different elements of the story can be revealed. It really is a role-playing game. You are developing a character. You are developing a storyline. Even when you're in your room, there's a comm system that has a droid in it that you can interact with, and it's a voice-activated droid, so it's a lot like talking to an Alexa or a Siri.
That's scary.
It really is. And let me tell you, the droid will sing you a lullaby, tell you a bedtime story. It's amazing. But the interactions you have with that droid set up the missions that you get and the interactions you get with the other characters.
No way. So it's a complete immersified experience from the start. Like when you get to
absolutely
the hotel.
is. From the moment you get into that hotel and get to your room and meet your droid, you're building storylines.
What?
Yeah. The actors they get are really amazing because they learn your name. They remember the interactions you have with them. And there's on the order of 100 people on each cruise. So they're learning all these different people's names and recognizing them and bringing those interactions up in future interactions. Because of the things that happened in the story, I was given command of the bridge at one point. And it was because of things I had done with some of the other characters earlier in the story. There are different paths you can follow. Like I said, you've got first order characters that you can work with. You've got resistance characters you can work with. These different stories reveal different elements of the paths and give you different missions. There is a lightsaber training. There is a bridge training where you learn how to fly and control different elements of the ship. These are not incredibly complicated, sophisticated things. They're meant to be things you can easily pick up on and embrace and have fun with.
So you don't need a college degree?
No, not at all.
Wow.
And you don't need to have spent 2 years fencing lightsaber in order to be able to go through the lightsaber simulator, right?
Nice.
It's fun, it's easy, it's a good time. There's part of the trip where you venture down to Batuu, so that's the Star Wars area of Hollywood Studios. Like I said, you can spend anywhere from about 2 up to about 8 hours there. I would strongly recommend anyone who's really a Star Wars devotee to go to Batuu first. There's a lot of stuff you can do down there, and it's more than you're going to be able to fit in because you want to have all these character interactions, and that's not really going to give you the time to build a lightsaber and a droid and go shopping and hit the cantina. Better to save that for a different time and make sure that you're getting the maximum elements out of these interactions that set up events on board the Starcruiser. The other thing I really wanted to talk about here is that going into this, you're better off if you have an idea for what you're portraying, for what your character's motivations are. So if you go into it and you pick up a copy of the Edge Publishing Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, Edge of the Empire, it gives you all this background on the Outer Rim and the type of characters that come from there. And that can give you an origin planet and a motivation, set you up with a background and a goal, so that then once you're on the Starcruiser, you know why you're there. Maybe you're affluent. You're taking a pleasure cruise. Maybe you're visiting one of the worlds it stops at, Corellia, Coruscant, or Batuu, or somewhere else, but you've got a reason that you're going there. Maybe you're trying to make contact with the Resistance of the First Order. Any of these things, if you know which one of them you're doing going into this voyage, you're going to be able to get more out of it. It's also going to cue you in on building a costume. Like I said, these actors that are aboard the ship are wearing Hollywood class costumes, right? You've got aliens with interactive anatomy, basically, that you're seeing do stuff. It's going to be a really strong motivation to go and show up in more than just shorts and a t-shirt. But if you're going to pick that costume, you kind of want to have a reason for it. So again, picking up the copy of the RPG or some of the source books for the RPG might say, hey, you know, I want to be a colonist, or I want to be an explorer or a bounty hunter or a hired gun or a smuggler or a technician. And I'm on the Halcyon because of this, and I'm trying to accomplish these goals. And that's going to make the whole experience more enjoyable and just make everything flow together for you. We've got books from the Star Wars game here on the shelves up in Immortals. I'd encourage you to stop in, take a look through them. If this is a trip that you're thinking about doing, spending that little extra time to do that homework and build up your background on it is really going to make it a more enjoyable experience for everybody.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that, because it makes me want to go to Disneyland or Disney World even more now. And I've never been there, so it's one of those things where it's like you have to see it. And I just saw the photos of you and your daughter on with the lightsabers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, am I allowed to put these in that video right
Absolutely.
here?
Go
right
ahead,
here?
yeah.
Check these out. I mean, they had me hyped from home in Ohio. So, I mean, thanks for explaining. And, yeah, it's really cool.
It's a fantastic experience. And like I said, coming from an RPG background, it really sets you up for more. So with that in mind, take a look through those games and maybe get some practice sessions in at home. Till next time, good gaming, folks.
Peace.